घंटों ਵਿੱਚ सिर्फ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ Bluebird Limo।
I'm your host, Rod, saying good evening to all the Tracy residents and the District 13 residents that are listening to us or will be listening in the future. Thank you so much, and I would like Gritesh to please introduce our candidate, and then let's just get going with our show. Thank you, Gritesh.
Thank you very much, Raj. So today we have the great privilege of having Carlos, who is running as a candidate for California Assembly District 13. So he was a county supervisor from 2008 to 2016. Then the CEO of Hispanic Chamber, is a small business owner. Now I'll request Carlos to please share some more about him.
Well, thank you, everyone. I want to first start up by thanking the Sikhs of Tracy, the Sikh community. It's an honor to be on with you guys. You guys are a humongous part of our community, a humongous part of our economy. And I want to thank you guys for what you guys do in bringing our economy and making it better and safer. I'm a proud father of 4 beautiful daughters. My wife and I live in Stockton, but for some reason, a lot of people think we now live in Tracy because of so much time we've been spending on the campaign. But I really have gotten to love the folks out of Tracy. What a really nice, great community. Sometimes people will joke around. They'll say, "Hey, I see you in Stockton. What are you doing over there?" Because they really think I live there. But I've been fighting to make sure that our community is safe. As a county supervisor, even going into the private sector. I realized that when I thought I was out of politics. I enjoyed being part of our community and being a business owner. But then the phone started ringing. People started asking, "Hey, Carlos, you should really consider coming back." And I gave it some thought. Just like most of us, what do? We go to our mentors, we go to our community, and I really spoke with a lot of folks before making this decision. Even sat down and spoke to my wife. And with a great group of volunteers that I have in AD13, and which I'm very, very thankful. We're committed. We are committed. We've been working extremely hard. We take this seat very, very serious. As you see what's going on in our country and our state and even our community, we've got to make sure that we're going to put AD13, this district, at the state of California. And what I realized real quick is that Mountain House, Tracy are 2 different cities. Lodi and Stockton are 2 different cities. But it just seems like we've always been trying to cookie cut this as one. I've worked so hard to spend time to realize that each city has different priorities, and you have to fight for those different priorities. And that's what I'm going to do once I get to Sacramento. I'm going to make sure that we make this part of our Sacramento, so that they know that we're on the map. But at the same time, I want to make sure for the Sikh community knows this, that I want them to be involved in our district. I want them to be part and know that in Sacramento they're going to be important. And I plan to, and I want to let you guys know, I plan to hire Punjabis in my office. I want to make sure that we have Sikh folks representing them in Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos, for giving such a great introduction. And as we're progressing into our show, I think we should start with our first topic of our discussion. That's regarding COVID-19. As you know, it's a global issue, and it's being faced in different countries. Everybody's impacted from all the way top to the bottom. So if you get elected, what are some of the approaches or some of the issues or challenges that you're hearing through your campaign, coordinating with the residents or the voters that you would be addressing? And what are some solutions that you're stating, and we would like to know about that?
So, what I realize, everyone has a stake at this. right now. Everyone is listening to this new story. This is because it is a story that we're all following. You know, from the minute that we wake up to the minute we go to bed. You know, I've been watching what as far as like the health department, what they're doing, but I'm going a little deeper, looking at what Johnson and Johnson is doing, Moderna is doing, Pfizer is doing. You know, some of them are now in the third stage. This is all great news, you know, because our economy needs to go back to open. We need to make sure that we're going to open up our doors, but we're going to do it safely. We're going to do it, you know, we're going to do it with folks knowing that we have to get out of this zone area that we're in right now. And once we get past this zone, we need to take a different approach in how we first opened up the doors, right? A lot of people were still trying to figure out, you know, what should we do? How do we handle this? Especially the business community. And my approach is this, is that, you know, it's not something that you just put up a line and let you try to figure out. And I think that that's where government goes wrong. You know, we as government agencies need to know that we have to almost have the approach of holding people's hands and guiding them and telling them how we're going to do this. Because, you know, people are still trying to figure this out. I get calls from folks. I did get some calls, some positive calls from folks that have, when COVID hit in March, we were telling folks where to go, businesses where to apply, folks that were sent home, how to apply for unemployment. We were out there going out and giving food baskets to the needy, giving masks to folks. But that's the approach that, as an elected official, that I want to make sure that we are out there knocking on doors and talking to people and literally holding their hands and guiding them, because our community is this. We're a melting pot. You know, we have different types of cultures. This is a great, beautiful community. But sometimes, you know, how government speaks to one, they don't understand. It's not the fact of English. It's just the fact that they're not talking business-like. They're talking government-like. And we need to change as government to be able to hold their hands and help them guide them through. So, I mean, literally, we know that there's going to be a cure. We know that. That's the positive thing. And we know the vaccine is going to be here. But we need to get it here soon. As soon as we get it here, we got to already start adjusting and trying to open up our business community, because that's what pays our bills here. When you look around and you drive around our streets, you know, our law enforcement, it's the business community that pays for that. So as an elected official, what you're going to see is that I'm going to be heavily involved in our community, culture by culture, to explain what steps they need to take. And the business community is going to be most important.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Yeah, educational institutes which offer diverse courses like the trade schools, everybody, they can help everybody to reach to the next level in their careers. Now, take it back to Raj.
So I have a follow-up question on the same topic. We touched about businesses, we touched about education, and I think that the question would be correlating with each other. So right now in this COVID, so we are studying from home, the students are studying from home, and a lot of corporate folks are working from home, remote. And what it does, it's creating so much pressure, or I think that's not, it's putting so much heavy load on the internet that we have. And sometimes we see it's buffering, we don't have the capability. So talking about technology side of innovation. So I think in our not only just Tracy or Mountain House, we're talking about overall as a San Joaquin County or District 13, we need to look into bringing more infrastructure around the technical side, like a Google fiber opticals. So we have better internet service providers. So if the businesses are coming, it's more, the community is more plug and play. It's not, oh man, we don't even have a basic fundamentals to provide for any startup to open up their business here, because they don't even have the good internet providers here. So what are some thoughts and vision overall, your future vision, that how would you like to see this happening?
Well, first of all, I just want to, California Teachers Association have endorsed me, and I'll tell you why. It's because we're in a community that not everyone has that access. I get that. And but what we need to do is this: we got to work with other companies and identify them and bring them here to San Joaquin County. And either if it's a startup, a kiosk type building, but we need to also, government's not going to be the only answer. We need to get the private sector involved, because the private sector that's the next generation that they are going to be hiring. So we really need to make sure that we involve the private sector, we involve folks from that have those businesses, and get them here to San Joaquin County. This is a beautiful community that you're 2.5 hours from Tahoe, an hour and 15. And not only is it most important to have the people here, everyone from Mountain House, a good percentage of folks from Mountain House, a good percentage of folks from Tracy drive over to Altamont. And they spend many hours in their car driving over. We need to make sure that those companies that they're employing come here, and we need to get them involved in our education and help the next generation here in San Joaquin County.
All right. So now moving to the next topic of our discussion, and it's regarding the healthcare side. So right now, if talking about Mountain House and Tracy, we are such a growing towns, both Mountain House and Tracy, but we only have one hospital, which is Sutter, with emergency rooms. And under this COVID, I think everybody, not just some few folks, everybody realized there's a big need for another hospital that can cover that can serve the Mountain House area and the Tracy folks as well. So what's your vision? What's your thoughts regarding this topic?
That's a great question. Let me tell you that recently, the county closed down a couple of clinics here in San Joaquin County, and and that was a wrong approach to do. We should have partnered up with other hospitals. Years back when I first got elected in 2008, the hospital was losing $26 million a year, and we got together with everyone around San Joaquin County, every hospital. I'm going to fight hard to make sure that we bring another hospital. I'm going to fight hard that we bring affordable health care, great quality health care, and that's changing subject. That's why we need to bring another CSU, is because we need to make sure that we're bringing that type of quality of educators so our kids can live here. Our kids don't have to move to the Bay Area or out of the state. They can work here. We need this hospital here in Tracy. We really do. Either between Mountain House and Tracy, we only have one. If people get injured from Mountain House, either they go to Sutter or they go all the way to Manteca. Unacceptable. We need to make sure that we have another hospital there, and that we partner up with other folks. I was when we looked at the county hospital, I was very thankful for other hospitals to pitch in and bring their expertise. Again, that hospital, we turned it around, and it wasn't because of government. It's because we also added the private sector. We started thinking, how does the private sector think? We look at other hospitals, how are they running their hospital? We can do the same thing here. The folks of Tracy, the folks of Mountain House deserve that. And that's one of the committees that I want to make sure that I sit on healthcare. And I'm going to fight to make sure that we bring another hospital, either the Tracy or Mountain House area.
Thank you, Carlos. Kutej, please go ahead.
Yeah, on that perspective, as you touched briefly, the affordable healthcare. So what do you think from the perspective of the drug prices are becoming very high, also the increased drug prices, as well as the affordability in the healthcare and Medicare for all. So what kinds of situation do you think we are, and how do you see the future in that perspective?
Yeah, well, that's going to be an ongoing problem that we're having with the state, not just the state, and our country. Our prices are expensive, our medication is expensive, but what we also need to do is that we need to make sure that we're teaching our community about keeping their appointments, not waiting to the last minute to go to emergency. We've done that here working with our farm labor areas. Most of our community here, they'll wait to the last minute. Their job is the most important thing. But we need to make sure that we work with employers, to make sure that they give them the time to get their health care, make it, get their checkups. And I think that once we can show, the state that we're a role model. We need to work with folks that are dealing with our pharma, our community, to make sure that we're lowering our prices here. You got a lot of doctors here that they come here. It's not because of pay; it's because of passionate and heart. They want to work. They want to be part of this community, and that's one thing that I want to make sure is that we're going to fight to make sure that we have affordable health care. And that's why I want to sit on these health committees. We made a change at the county hospital, and we made dramatic changes there. We can work with the state to make dramatic changes. I was once a director for the Healthy Families Program. And this program was, it gave folks the proud owner of owning an insurance plan. Even though they were paying maybe $4 to $6 a month, some were paying $12 to $28 a month, but it gave them the incentives to make sure that their kids were being checked up on, and so that we don't drive healthcare prices up. We need to bring programs back like that, and that's going to be a priority of mine. And once I get in Sacramento, is to work with our community and bring quality, great healthcare in Washington County.
Thank you, Carlos. So you touched from the perspective of the person or the citizen who is facing this issue. So some small business owners, they have this thing coming up, the question coming up in their mind, because the rate of this crisis is increasing. And this COVID thing, we are not sure how it will kind of impact on this issue. So it can be increased in our cities. So in these cities, they are seeing it for the first time. It's growing, and for a small business owner, so if they see this problem near their premises, so what kinds of solutions or what kinds of negotiations they can do with the city or with the staff, whichever is available right now, and how do you see the future with that perspective for our small business owners who are feeling this with respect to their economical impact on their businesses too?
Yeah, no, that's a problem that I hear a lot. I hear folks calling up and saying, Carlos, how I have a business, but yet every day I have to go out and clean, my facility. And sometimes the county or the city is billing me because I didn't clean it. We need to work with our code enforcement officer and our law enforcement agency to make sure that we're not just basically social workers, but trying to work with other agencies. So we need to make sure that we have social workers working with our law enforcement so that they can make a call and get them off the streets, get them into programs that I'm talking about, get them into the 90, the year type programs. But we also have to work with our business community. We need to make sure that they're educated so that, you've heard of there's a program that we started way back. It was working with our businesses to make sure that they had law enforcement working with them day in, day out. We need to continue doing that. We need to make sure that we have law enforcement that, just like I talked about, that they would have our community cars in our communities, but we need community policing that talks to our business community, that is literally going in there, checking on them. They're not security. They're our law enforcement, checking on them, seeing things that are okay. We need to make sure that we can also put them in housing. Okay, I know that this governor has spent a lot of money on, trying to build housing in our community. But the problem is that a lot of those folks are not going to go there. They want to still remain out in the streets. Why? because they can't do their drugs there. They want to do them out in the street. So we need to first take the percentage of folks that are serious and want to be helped. We need to take that slice of the pie and making sure that we spend the money on them, because there's going to be a percentage of folks, no matter what you do, you're not going to change it. I'm going to be honest, you're not going to change it. So that's where the law enforcement comes in. We need to figure out where they're going to go. But the folks that are serious and want help, we need to make sure that we provide them the tools that they need, the housing that they need, the vocational training that they need, and making sure that we're also getting them back into work. We can't just release them. We need to make sure that they have a job, that they still have housing, but they have a job. They're going to a job every day. There's wheels that have been invented. I've taken a trip years back with Judge Lucaccini to New York, and these are tools that certain parts of New York are using, and they're working. But these kiosk offices, they're not behind government. They're in the community, in the heart of where we see the homeless, so that the homeless can literally come to the kiosk office and ask for help. And at the same time, we can have social workers out in the street working with them.
Thank you very much, Carlos, for touching this aspect. Now I'll turn it back to Raj.
Now it brings us to the end of our discussion. We had all the topics that we heard from the different folks that they wanted to hear from you for the District 13 Assembly candidates. So Carlos, at the end, if there's anything that we haven't touched on, you can please go ahead and address that. If there's anything left that you would like to let your voters know.
Well, I can tell you this, that what I've learned in this race is it's not about Republicans or Democrats or independents. I don't belong to a certain group of, hey, I'm endorsed by this, endorsed by that. Here's what I've been working very hard in our community, is to take community by community, culture by culture. I've sat with the Hmong community. I sat with the Vietnamese community. I sat with the Punjabi community. I know the importance of their priorities. I know what they need here in San Joaquin County. And at the end of the day, like I talked about, every city that I'm working hard to represent, they're different. But at the end of the day, it's about public safety. It's about creating jobs in our community. It's about getting our economy back open. And you're going to hear folks that say, hey, I have the experience. Sometimes the experience is not the answer. Folks that get so tied up in thinking that government's the answer. I'm the first one to say this. Sometimes people get in office, they're part of government, but they never paid workman's comp. They never balanced a budget. They never had to pay employees. I can honestly say that we have, and you look at folks that have literally say something and they complete it. When you look at the wide ordinance we completed here, that created, if you drive just to Lodi, you drive around the community, literally people want to move here. You see more house being built, and if you look at our airport, that I worked so hard, that we worked so hard to make sure that we have, good companies like Amazon that came here. We have travels to San Diego, now LAX. Those didn't happen today. Those happened years back, working with the business community. And if you look at as far as what we're heading, people tell me, Carlos, why would you want to go during these times? It's going to be the most difficult times to go into Sacramento. My answer is this is the best time to go to Sacramento. Why? Because you need someone that is business minded. You need someone that knows our economy and knows how to work with our community and knows the priorities of this district. And that's why I'm going to Sacramento. That's why I want to represent you guys in Sacramento, is because I want to make sure that we are on the map We are not on the map right now. We are not. As much as we fight, we are not. We should never have lost the CSU. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable of not having another hospital here in San Joaquin County. Unacceptable. We need to make sure that this place here is safe for all of our members of this community, for every culture. And I want to thank the Sikh community because let me tell you, I've learned a lot from you guys. You guys are great hard workers. You guys are part of paying into our economy. And that's why, I surround myself around folks like that. Why? Because I don't have all the answers. But guess what? I want to learn from folks like you. I want to make sure that our community is going to be represented in Sacramento. And that's why I'm running. So I want to just thank the Tracy Sikhs for giving me the time to speak to you guys. And this really means a lot to me. And I take this race very serious. And thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Carlos. At the end, if there would be any follow-up questions or somebody wanted to touch with you, do you mind sharing your contact information so they can directly approach you? And I would encourage the audience, if you would like to go through us, we're welcoming you. We'll convey your message to Carlos as well. But Carlos, please go ahead and share your contact information.
Yeah. So I'll just really quick. It's Carlos at 2020.com. You can email me there. If you want to call me, listen, my phone, always people are calling me up and I never turn my back to folks. So if you want to even reach out to me, my number is 209-810-6580. That's my cell. You can text me, message me. But again, thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you very much, Carlos. And in the end, our biggest stakeholders are our voters. So we again request our voters, please make an informed decision for November 3rd. Ask your questions to Carlos or send those questions to us. We will forward to the candidate. Thank you very much, Carlos. Thank you, Raj. We'll see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਗੁਰਤੇਜ ਸਿੰਘ
ਮੈਂ ਰਾਜਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ
ਕੈਲੀਫੋਰਨੀਆ ਦੀ ਧਰਤੀ ਤੋਂ
ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਰੂਬਰੂ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ
ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਨਵਾਂ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਲੈ ਕੇ
ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਸਪੀਕਸ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ 2020
ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਸਪੀਕਸ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ 2020
ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ
ਟਾਈਮ ਟੀਵੀ ਤੇ